You're very welcome back. Now, from a blind date nearly 20 years ago to married life on the farm, Ellen and Joe O'Neill are a true testament of how opposites can attract.
They're looking at each other there. I'm like, is it? Yeah, there. Before we chat to Ellen and Joe about their story and why they decided to document it on social media, here's a little insight into the realities of farming life.
So I'm in the calf shed this morning. This pen, our starter pen, they're all on colostrum. They're 1 and 2 days old. So we're 3 days.
Morning everyone, it is Tuesday, the 9th of July, just about 7:10 or so, going getting the cows milked. Very down start of the morning this morning, it was spilling rain when the alarm went off and it's been spilling rain since.
It's the best life and I'm so glad that this is where I end up around my children.
Oh, hi, sorry, we're talking about editing. I'm like, oh my God. Ellen and Joe, hello, how are you? Lovely to have you here. Before we get into the realities, because we talk about farmers a lot and what's going on in that world. Blind date, 20 years ago, tell a girl, with your boy. It's not that the world's apart, really. Your county's over.
Yeah. I was working in an office, telly sales, and a girl, her dad, I think, was your trainer in your football team.
Yeah.
Randomly took a picture of me in a bar in Tala one night and sent it to Joe, and he wrote, what did you reply?
A good looking lady.
Yep.
Well done.
And the next morning at 8 o'clock, I got a text message and I immediately rang my friend. I was like, who's that weirdo you gave my phone number to? Who? Like, I just thought it was a bit strange.
She's just taking pictures and sending them out.
I know, I was like, 8 o'clock in the morning. And she was like, Alan, he's been up hours. To him, it's the middle of the day, like, you know? And you said then if you hadn't replied, that you thought, oh, she's lazy.
I mean, it is a completely, like, only counties apart, but it's a different reality, a different way of growing up as well. What was Ellen like the first day you took her to the family farm?
She's a bit awestruck, I suppose. Like, her family would have had farming in their history, you know, so it's not totally alien to them. Yeah, I was trying to show the best side of it, you know, keeping away the dirt and showing pretty cows and green grass and stuff. So didn't want to scare her off too much.
Yeah, but I was amazed by everything. Yeah. Like a cow on heat, that they, you know, how they go in calf, the way they recognise Joe's voice. Like everything was, wow. Like I remember saying to you, does grass not just grow? What do you mean? Like I was like, why do you pre-mow it? And fertiliser? Okay. Right. So what's they in the winter? Like everything, like the simplest things, you just don't think of.
No.
You just go to shop and buy food. Never thought about winter caring for food, to feed them, the sheds, nothing.
Well, where our food comes from, the whole process that you're very much involved in.
I have absolutely not a notion.
But of course, for anyone who has farming in their life, you know that if a couple are going to get together, it involves a lot of sacrifice because it was you coming into this situation, and it's not like you can keep your life going as it was. You've got to go all in.
That was a very quick education. Joe's life delved into it, and at the start you kind of tried to facilitate, like, would be going out and doing things, but if you come in at 3 o'clock in the morning, he used to go at 5. It very quickly is like, okay, yeah, you can't live the life I was doing. I can't just insert. There has to be some changes.
Joe did it for 2 weeks and then he was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't live like this.
Or you're in the cinema at 9:30, you're going, wake up.
But it's a huge routine as well to farming as well, and having to turn your life around for that. Like myself, we're all watching Clarkson's farm, and it's educating so many people who maybe haven't lived on a farm into the realities and actually how difficult farming is and how difficult a time they get with the likes of prices, milk prices and everything else at the moment.
Yeah, that's a massive part of it, and even the day-to-day grind is just the weather, like. Yeah. And this year in particular, the spring was so wet and so cold, and the summer turned out to be wet and cold, and that's stuff you've absolutely no control of. And we're price takers, we're not price makers, so that was something I was very keen on when we were doing the YouTube, that we showed warts and all, that we just, look, I'm having a bad day, I'm standing in front of the camera talking about it, and I might just resonate with someone else, and they'll go, okay, you know, I'm in the same boat, and, you know, we're all in this kind of thing together, and we're just trying to push through and keep going.
From a mental health point of view?
Oh, massively, yeah. And the feedback on that has been really, really interesting. Like, this spring was particularly horrendous for suicides in farming.
Wow.
And
like there was 8 suicides in 11 days in April.
It was horrendous, and not a huge amount of publicity about it either. And like you pick up your phone at the end of the day and the day's been horrendous, and here's some other Egid with a beard from Wicklow, and he's talking about how bad his day is, and we're in it together. And
other side is you open a paper and there's farmer bashing, you're getting blamed for everything, and you're there working 18 hours, your mental health is affected, and then you read something like that, and that was the idea behind the YouTube, is that to show you're not on your own, everyone is going through this, and to have someone fight in our corner.
But sorry, just after saying 8 suicides in 11 days.
Agriland.ie had it up during spring. I shared it on my Instagram. There was 8 suicide-related deaths in 11 days.
From farmers?
From farmers. Farming has the highest suicide rate in all industries in Ireland. It's frightening.
So but people are actively getting into this, and this is, we would have known, and it was talked about before, farmers alone. I know you just said that this YouTube has helped you massively, because you did decide to do this. Was it your idea to kind of, Ellen, to go, right, we're going to film this? Why?
Well, we're both very active on social media. Joe would be more Twitter based, I would be more, Instagram, Facebook. And I'd get a lot of interaction I went to school in Temple Oak, it was far away from a farm as you could get. And girls from school would be like, wow, this is so interesting, I didn't know this. And I'm showing my kids this, and you put up on Instagram and it's gone a day later, and it seemed like an awful waste. And everything I'd put up, people would say to me, God, it's so educational. I didn't have a clue. And I said, that's because I'm writing from my point of view. I didn't have a clue either. And I had said to Joe, there's so many people like me, and we'd often look at something in the newspaper, and Joe would say, no, who would believe that? And I was like, yeah, I would have actually believed that totally.
Really?
Like just simple as things. And it's easy to be the big bad farmer when you don't relate to them as just people. They're just families. And I'd say to Joe, you're working 18 hours a day. You can't just be like, oh, I'm too tired, I'm not going today. It's like having young kids. You just have to keep grinding. It doesn't matter if your price goes down low. What happens? You still have to go out and look after your livestock. It affects next year, the next year. You just can't stop. And that's the thing. You just have to keep going. And when you open the paper and see all these negative things, it's like, who is fighting for us? And you want to speak out, and we have a platform.
And to be fair, there are so many farmers in Ireland as well, but having something like that, because it's, I'm sure there's a bit of a macho feel to it as well, and farmers don't want to maybe look like they're, having bad days, and particularly on social media. So
you would have that at the start from the Irish modesty, not to be like, I don't want people thinking I'm pretending to be the best farmer out there. And that was the agreement at the start, that we weren't going to be putting up a pretense. You're because you can only do that for so long.
Showing everything.
And just show everything, right?
What about the kids? Because you have 4 kids as well. So as if the family life wasn't busy enough on the farm, the 4 kids, are they showing signs that they'd like to get into it? I know your oldest, is it Finn? He's maybe
15, Yeah, well, I'm from a very big family. There were 7 of us, and we all got involved in the farm as kids. As soon as you could carry a bucket or stand in the gate, you were out. So that was very important to me.
Well, both your parents are working on the farm, you have to go with them.
You have to go,
There's no exact childcare.
And obviously back in the day,
their friends love it?
They do, yeah. The girls to be, we saw you on YouTube or whatever, you're doing this, you're doing that. And a lot of our kids' friends are from farms as well, so to be bouncing off each other, and we do it this way and we do it that way, sort of thing, And it's good, it's creating. But
it's created a community.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. But the other side of it is that it's creating responsibility and a work ethic, and you work hard and you're responsible. They all have calves, they all have their own stock.
And farming's an apprenticeship. You can't just walk in at 18. Like some people say to us, oh, can my child come and work with you? And you're like, you're babysitting. Like even as an adult coming in, you had to babysit me for the first year.
But it's quite interesting. We're talking today about, children and cyberbullying and being on their devices all of the time. And often you do hear with kids from farming backgrounds, they're, sorry, but I'm out. I'm gone. So they are actively involved in what it is that you're doing. And spending time from a young age, as you said, with a work ethic.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And our kids are of the generation, they don't usually watch normal television. They're watching streaming. YouTube is huge with our kids. They're watching other farms, other things. And when we said about doing the YouTube, the 2 girls, they were the ones begging at the start. They watch all these American families doing things. And I said, I'm not doing YouTube. As if we have time to make content. And then the more we thought about it, our life is content. We don't have to make this new stuff. Just show what we're actually doing. And the kids, especially during spring, now the winter, it's quite quiet coming into the winter, the autumn. But during the spring, everybody's out. And the cameras that we have set up around, or the kids are videoing themselves, we just catch funny moments. And it's just real life, and we're not hiding it.
It's fantastic. And I think there's huge interest out there as well. I know my kids on YouTube, they love farming videos and stuff as well. Where do you see the future of farming in Ireland?
Well, hopefully it's here to stay, Tommy.
But you do get a bad rap,
We do, yeah. in conjunction with everything else, was part of the reason why, like, I could spend my day on Twitter, or X as it's called now, defending farming, because there's just so much stuff thrown up there. But you don't have time to do that. You have to work. So this is our way of doing it. We're just showing what it is. At the end of the day, we're a family like every other family in the country. We're just farming. We have a block of land. We grow grass. We milk cows. Turning that grass into something that we can eat, and that's how we pay our mortgage and how we're rearing our kids.
And so important.
And paying our bills. And
as you say, everybody was only one generation away from farming, now we're two.
Yeah,
that's
so that
the thing.
disconnect is getting massive.
The disconnect of where our food and our milk and our cheese comes from.
Like even my mother had said, "Oh, don't show when you're slaughtering the cow for the freezer," and I said, "No, Mammy, that's the problem. We've been hiding that, and then people have this airy-fairy vision, and they don't know where the food comes from because." You've been protecting a generation, not showing them real life. And then when they see where milk comes from or where their meat comes, and they make the connection between meat and an animal, they're horrified. It's because they've been overprotected. We have the snowflake generation. And I was like, my kids are going to be hardy. There's going to be none of that nonsense. Like, we brought the offal home from the factory the other day. We all chopped up the liver together. I showed them that's the inside your body. This is the heart. It was such a learning experience even for me.
That's biology, isn't it?
And my eldest was like, we did that in school. I'm like, oh, well, that's brilliant. But to be connected, it was inside a cow. And
what do you make of this? Would you like your kids to be more in tune with stuff like this? Grabbing a few hearts at home like Ellen and chopping them up. 0896 111 111. Really interesting, just from the perspective of farmers. Your YouTube series, it's O'Neill Dairy Farm. You can find it there, and of course, we are online as well.
And merch as well. Look at this.
Look at this.
The whole lot.
Have it all going.
Ellen and Joe O'Neill, thanks so much for coming in this morning. Very, very interesting.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Lots more to come on Ireland Day, but now it's